welcome to the next installment of The Last Word, an AALAS podcast. I'm Jennifer Smith, your host. I'm also the Director of Education and Scientific Affairs at AALAS. This special episode is dedicated to our upcoming AALAS National Meeting in Nashville from November 3rd through 7th. We are so excited to be joined by key AALAS volunteers who have worked hard to make this meeting successful. And speaking of success, this year marks AALAS's 75th National Meeting anniversary. No, I haven't been to all of those. However, we are really excited to be celebrating this accomplishment in Nashville. So if you haven't registered yet for this meeting, we hope this episode will inspire you to commit to joining your colleagues in Nashville. As a big reminder here, advanced registration does close on October 7th, so now is the time to register before the price goes up. With me today is Dr. Sarah Hansen. Sarah serves AALAS as the chair of the National Program Committee. In her day job, she is a diagnostic support veterinarian at IDEXX. Sarah completed her master's degree and comparative medicine residency at the University of Missouri and is a diplomat of ACLAM. Sarah is also an active volunteer with AALAS and ACLAM, and we are thrilled to welcome her today and look forward to discussing the upcoming national meeting and the program committee's significant involvement. Okay, Sarah, thank you for joining me today. Can you tell us just a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, yeah, thanks for having me. So I graduated from Iowa State University for veterinary school, and my first life as a veterinarian was actually as a small animal emergency vet for almost a decade.
Oh, wow.
And then I went back to school, as you said, and did my residency. So I was about almost 10 years out when I did my residency at Mizzou. And for almost the past 5 years now, I have been supporting diagnostics at IDEXX Bioanalytics.
That is fantastic. That's probably my favorite question to ask people because it is so fascinating to hear how people got into our industry. And I love hearing that you have private practice experience. That is why I think you're so amazing as the program committee chair, because you're able to solve all these problems that come up quickly. So I think that's awesome.
I do. It's really, I think it's also fascinating, like how people get into this. And I actually was really not exposed to lab animal medicine when I was a vet student. So it took me going out, being in practice for a long time, and then really talking to a lot of people to kind of get into this industry.
I love that. Same. I had the same sort of experience, and I'm so thankful I saw the light and I got here. But I don't regret any of the past either. I guess it just it adds more skills to the toolbox, as they say.
Absolutely.
So our listeners, a lot of them may not even really know what the program committee, what that is, who they are, and what they even do. And it would be great if you could sort of take us through that.
Okay, so the National Meeting Program Committee is a group of individuals in the industry, kind of from all different aspects, as far as technicians, veterinarians, all across academia, industry. We represent as much as we possibly can and try to make this a very diverse committee. And so what we do in the spring is once we hit that abstract deadline, that Betty will be emailing everybody about every spring when abstracts are due. We have about 3 weeks where we then review all the abstracts that are submitted for seminars, panel discussions, workshops, and special topic lectures. Then we all go together and we meet in person at the site of the national meeting. And then we review the abstracts. We go over them. And we plan and design the meeting based on the submissions from that year. And we all go to the meeting, and then at the end of the meeting on Thursday afternoon, we get together again, and we kind of break down the meeting and talk about what went well, what was well attended, where there was maybe the need for more seating because the room was really full, and things like that. And then we kind of switch gears and actually start planning the next year's meeting as soon as that is done. So we usually finish up Thursday evening, pretty excited about coming into the following year.
That's amazing. Yeah, it is a comprehensive sort of ordeal. And I, in my past life here, served on the program committee. Gosh, I had to ask Betty, I think almost 10 years. I think I rotated through every seat before I was the chair. And I couldn't agree with you more. It is such an undertaking, yet the most rewarding experience. And I mean, it's a huge responsibility putting the program together for our members to attend the meeting. So I just think it's great that you're breaking this all down for us. So let's jump into this year's program specifically. One thing I think it would be great is if you could give the listeners, especially those who maybe, haven't been to the meeting or maybe don't remember what the program looks like, if you could give us a quick rundown on just sort of navigating that final program and the different types of sessions.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So two big things that you want to start with when you're kind of planning your way through the meeting. So one would be either you can pick up your paper program at check-in, or strongly I'm going to encourage you all to download the digital app to help you navigate through and then select talks to attend. But so broad overview of the sessions. I always think about, let's start on Sunday afternoon. So Sunday, there's 2 tracks this year of technical trade presentations. And these are 20-minute talks sponsored in part by the vendors to cover the latest technology in laboratory animal medicine. And then Sunday night will be the opening session. And then beginning on Monday and running all the way through Thursday afternoon, each day will be a mix of seminars and panel discussions, both in the morning and then in the afternoon. And then there's a selection of midday special topic lectures every day. So these are focused talks from a single speaker, and then again, wrapping up with panel discussions and afternoon seminars. And then as an alternative to these bigger, larger talks, the platform sessions run both in the morning and in the afternoon. And these are veterinarians, technicians, and residents presenting on novel research. So these are shorter talks that are put together. It's a really exciting time to go and learn about the newest research that's coming out. And then it's important to remember that Thursday is still a very important day of the meeting. And this year we have some great talks on Thursday, including talks on outreach, notobiotics, lighting, the cusp sharing site, and many more.
Oh, that is fantastic. I'm really starting to look forward to the meeting. This is fantastic. All right. So we have some special folks that we call out in the program, and those would be like first-time attendees and also international attendees. And I just wondered, especially if some of those folks might be listening, if you could share some of the resources that you've prepared for them too.
Yeah. So for first-time and international attendees, in the back of the preliminary program, which is available online, and some of you may have it already mailed to you, there is some information about helping international attendees figure out what they need in order to come to Nashville. And then also there's the AALAS National Meeting app, like I kind of already referred to, which will be linked on the AALAS website. And then the Music City Center, which is this absolutely beautiful convention hall, one of the prettiest ones that I've ever seen. It has all this natural light coming in and is just sitting there right in the heart of Nashville. But they have a wayfinding app that is this photo-based guidance, and it's based upon Bluetooth signals of where your phone is to help you navigate through the convention center and then to help you find resources. It's really cool. I encourage you all to check it out.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I am really excited about that. Spoiler alert, I have never been to Nashville. I don't know if you had before the program committee meeting either.
Yes, so I've been to Nashville several times, usually going actually for music. And one thing that I highly recommend that people go see if they can is the Ryman Auditorium. It is steeped in history. It has a wonderful tour, and it's just an absolutely beautiful church that has become very historic in Nashville.
Oh, fantastic. It's on my list now. All right. So let's talk about our technician attendees. There are some amazing events always every year for technicians, and I just wondered if you could share some of those for this year.
Sure. Okay. So for the technicians, if it's your first time, then welcome to the meeting. If you're coming back for more, we're certainly glad to have you here. There is ongoing throughout the meeting, you'll see the Technician Fun Fair, and this is super fun. It runs Monday through Wednesday in association with the Exhibitor Hall. And if you haven't done this before, basically you register and then you go around and visit the exhibitors to answer questions. There's some really cool prizes, and you can earn continuing education by doing that as well. Then also Monday from 12:30 to 2, there's a reception hosted by Charles River and PMI Lab Diet where you can connect with other technicians. You can talk with the AALAS President and also win some prizes. This does require pre-registration, and the seats are limited, so you would want to sign up online before going to the meeting to get that done soon. And then throughout the meeting as well, you'll find interesting seminars, special topic lectures, and panels that you wish to attend. And of course, tour the exhibit hall and see everything that is new there.
Oh, that is great. I know everyone is looking forward to the meeting, especially the technicians. So that is fantastic. All right. So every year, I believe, in the past few years anyway, there's been a theme of the national meeting. And I just wondered if you could share that with our listeners.
Yeah. So the theme for this year's meeting is neurodegenerative diseases. This was selected by our AALAS President, Bob Quinn. And this is a topic that is just near and dear to his heart. So we did receive some excellent submissions in this field that highlight the unique challenges and firsthand experience with these animal models, as well as some translational outcomes and some successes using those. Seminars, panel discussions, etc., that are focused on this will be highlighted throughout the program to help you find those talks.
Oh, that's great. And thanks again for mentioning Bob Quinn, our current AALAS president. The AALAS president is also involved with the program committee, so that's great that you mentioned him as well. All right, so opening session. So I have some questions on the opening session. And the first one is just sort of, why should someone go? I sometimes hear folks say, I'm definitely going to AALAS, but I don't think I'm going to go to the opening session. So it would just be great to hear sort of why should they go, what they can expect. And if you could fill us in a little bit, I know Local Arrangements, their committee is working hard on some fun entertainment. So it would be great to hear more about that.
Yeah, so the opening session is always on Sunday evening. And I like this because it serves just as the welcome to opening the meeting. And it also serves as an AALAS general membership meeting. So it's important to be there and be a part of your AALAS organization. So this starts at 5 p.m. on Sunday. It'll include President Bob Quinn. He will introduce the incoming president, Jim Macy, as well as there will be a keynote speech from Bob Dysko highlighting 75 years of AALAS since we're having the 75th anniversary. So then this will then move into the welcome reception in the exhibit hall for the first time for AALAS, which will feature exhibitors and affiliate booths. And so that will be really exciting to go in the exhibit hall on Sunday night. And there, then, the Local Arrangements Committee has selected some Nashville talent. So if you don't get out anywhere else to see music, we'll bring it to you Sunday night. And this is an artist, Jed Harrelson, who will be performing at the welcome reception. So he'll be at the exhibitor teach and chat space inside the exhibit hall. You can go over and listen to him and also tour around the exhibit hall Sunday night.
Oh, that is fantastic. Thanks for giving us that rundown, especially all these new things. Having the reception in the exhibit hall is just going to be amazing. I know that's something that folks have talked about for a while, so that's going to be really special, as well as the entertainment. And thanks again for mentioning the opening session as a general AALAS membership meeting. And we also just want everyone to know, if you're attending AALAS, you're invited. You're a part of AALAS. We want you to attend. All right. So let's see. On the program, there's a couple things to point out that I think the first-time attendee or maybe a seasoned attendee might not know a lot about, and I would love for you to expand upon. And that would be the special lectures, the Hunter Lecture and the Charles River Lecture. Could you just sort of talk about that and what those are and who can attend?
Sure, absolutely. So both of these lectures are open to everyone, and you'll see them in your program. So So these are 1-hour lectures, and we'll start with the Charles Hunter lecture. So this will be Monday at 11 a.m. And the speaker here is an individual who was nominated and selected by the award selection committee. So this year, the speaker is an associate veterinarian from the Nashville Zoo, who will discuss how he approaches scientific studies using these small sample sizes that he has in the zoo. And as you can imagine, that's quite a challenge because these are heavily regulated endangered species here. And then the Charles River Ethics and Animal Welfare lecture is selected by Charles River. And this lecture will be Tuesday then at 11 a.m. And this year it features a professor of psychopharmacology who will present the 3 H's. And the 3 H's may be new to some of us. So the goal of the 3 H's is to improve animal welfare by targeting aspects of housing, handling, and habituation.
Wow. Okay. Those sound amazing. I mean, every year they sound great, but it's just so nice to hear, your succinct kind of summary of it before the fact. So thank you. And yeah, I'm getting really excited to hearing both of those lectures. How about workshops? I know workshops are on the program. We always sort of seem to get some questions about workshops, who can attend. Also, sort of a general question on, do you have to leave the convention center to go to a workshop?
So attendees can add the workshops to their registration if they know when they sign up that they have ones that they want to attend. And I strongly encourage that because workshops are limited in space. And many of these sell out every year. So you can also sign up then at registration if there's a space one and you've decided you would like to attend. But really your best way to get in the workshops is to sign up along with your registration. Workshops are an absolutely amazing way to focus your learning. You'll get hands-on experience working with specialists who are in your field. And all of the workshops are held on site, so they require no additional travel. So you don't need to do any extra arrangements to attend them.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. And thanks for that reminder to get signed up early. I know some of those are extremely popular, so thanks. All right. I think you already talked about the app. I think it would be good if you could just sort of maybe tell the attendees that are listening to this podcast why they should download that app and, kind of when they can download it and all of that.
Yes, so the app will be launched in about a month, so right around October 21st. And you download it from the App Store, and there will also be a link on the AALAS website. And I strongly encourage you to download the app because this will help you to develop your own meeting schedule, allows you to save lectures that you want to visit and go to, and also will help you navigate a little bit through the convention center. Also, one of the things that I love about the app is that you can obtain digital copies of all the posters. So if you didn't have time to go and review the posters in person, you can read them after you return home or on your flight home. And you can also request appointments with exhibitors and bookmark exhibitors where you wish to visit their booths. So that will kind of help you with some of that. The latest updates, the schedule events is all in the app. And if you allow push notifications to your mobile device, you'll get updated event notices. So the app will be your go-to resource while you're at the national meeting. I strongly encourage all of you to download that.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Thanks for that advice. I'm already setting a reminder for myself to do that. All right. Well, I know all the sessions that are on the program. They've made it to the program. They've got to be amazing. But it would be great if you could just maybe highlight a few of the ones that are maybe the most timely for some of our attendees to think about attending.
Absolutely. So, of course, throughout the program, you'll see updates on all the regulatory sessions. So I do really encourage you to attend those, see what is the latest with regulatory changes that have occurred. And then also in our current age, of course, we cannot overlook artificial intelligence and this digital world in which we are all thriving now. So it's important to note that you'll see a lot of these talks spread throughout the program where you can learn about the possibilities in this field in regards to data gathering and data management. And also on Tuesday afternoon, then there's one that combines the digital aspect with neurodegenerative disease. So going along with the theme of the meeting, I think that one will be really special too.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, definitely something to look forward to there. Since we're highlighting things for the meeting, there's just so much, right? I mean, it's a jam-packed meeting for sure. We can't forget the AALAS Foundation, how important that is. I wondered if you could kind of just tell our listeners a little bit about the AALAS Foundation and its silent and also its online auction, using some of that newer technology. I got myself into some serious trouble last year bidding on something that Jim Macy put on the auction there. So we want to make sure people have that opportunity as well. So could you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, that silent bidding, it's like some nice shopping while you're kind of hanging out there. I love it.
Yes.
So yeah, the AALAS Foundation is super important. It supports educational outreach on the essential role of responsible laboratory animal care and use. And one of the key ways in which it's supported happens at the AALAS National Meeting. So the silent and live auctions are a couple of the most fun ways that you have to support the AALAS Foundation. So you can go and visit to see what all the items are throughout the meeting. And yet all the bidding then is conducted via your mobile device. So again, this makes it really easy to get involved and donate. And if you're bidding against somebody, you can just keep checking and keep bidding away so that you can get that item, whether you're taking it home, giving it as a gift. I like to get artwork and put it in my office. And people who aren't even attending AALAS this year can bid as well. So that's important to remember. So then also this year is the 25th anniversary of the AALAS Foundation, and there is a current 25 on the 25th anniversary campaign. So there's still time to catch up your contribution if you haven't started this. Then there is also a $75 contribution 75 days out from the meeting in honor of AALAS's 75th anniversary that you can participate in. So as with the other one, there's time to catch up on this as well. And links for both of these are available on the AALAS Foundation website. And both of these will have nice thank you gifts in addition to everyone who's participating. But you kind of have to wait until you get to Nashville to see what those gifts are.
Ooh, a teaser there. I love it. And thank you for eloquently, summarizing the foundation. These events are very fun. We want everyone also to attend the auction on Wednesday night. Everyone is welcome. There's nothing special you have to do to attend. Just make sure you're ready to bid. And it will be a lot of fun. And there's no better way to support such a great organization. So we're very thankful for all of the support our members give the AALAS Foundation. It's critical. So I have a final question. On our regular podcast, we ask everyone just kind of one final question. I promise not to throw you a curveball. Let's see. So for anyone who's listening who hasn't yet registered for the national meeting, after all the things that you just said, what would be your answer for, kind of why haven't you registered or why should you come?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's very important that this is the 75th anniversary. The meeting this year being in the heart of Nashville, you just could not ask for a better place to have a meeting. So it's a great year to attend. I love the AALAS National Meeting. I love meeting up with colleagues, collaborating, and learning from all the leaders in this field. I'm very proud of this meeting that we've put forth. I'm really excited for you all to come to Nashville with us and be a part of it.
Thank you. All right. Well, Sarah, we greatly appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today. And I know our audience learned a lot about the upcoming national meeting. And now it's time for a short break.
Ready to boost your team's skills in lab animal science? Discover the AALAS Learning Library. Train all your staff in one place, from investigators to managers, and earn AALAS CEUs and RACE CEs with discounts for groups. Sign up for free to access select courses instantly and explore valuable resources to enhance your team's expertise. Elevate your learning with AALAS Learning Library.
We are excited today to be joined by key AALAS volunteers who have worked really hard to make this meeting successful. With me today is Mike Evans, and Mike serves AALAS as the chair of the Exhibitor Advisory Committee, or the EAC. But in his day job, Mike is the manager of marketing and digital communications at Avidity Science. He's a longtime member of AALAS and a trusted industry colleague. We are so thrilled to have Mike on the podcast today to talk about the EAC and the national meeting, and I can't wait to get to it. So hello, Mike. Thank you for joining us today. Can you tell myself and our listeners more about yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm very happy to be joining you. As you said, I'm the Exhibitor Advisory Council EAC chair for this AALAS committee for 2024. I was invited a couple years ago to join the EAC, and I'm certainly appreciative for the opportunity and hope that I've been able to meet the expectations of the EAC team and the AALAS organization. I'm also excited that it's the 75th anniversary milestone and happy to be helping out for my part. As you said, my day job is a marketing manager with the company Avidity Science. For those not familiar with Avidity, it's a company with a portfolio of products that include automated animal watering systems for laboratory animals, as well as the HydroPack individual cage watering system for mice and rodents. We also offer water purification systems for facilities in addition to technologies such as BMDS, RFID, animal identification, and watchdog environmental monitoring software. Avidity has been an integral part of the biomedical research industry for decades. I've been with Avidity 20 years and attending the AALAS National Meeting since 2006 when it was in Salt Lake City. That was my first one. My day-to-day responsibilities include managing and coordinating marketing campaigns across a variety of media, as well as helping our sales team with preparations for conferences and shows. And this time of year, it's always busy with getting ready for the AALAS National Meeting. Prior to Avidity, I was a graphic designer with several consumer goods companies in the retail industry. So joining the Avidity marketing team and being a part of the AALAS industry has been a unique and rewarding experience.
Wow, that is awesome. I mean, there's just so much there to unpack. I love hearing about your background. Spoiler alert, that is my favorite part of hosting these podcasts, is just hearing friends and colleagues talk a little bit about their background, and who knew that you had all these other skills up your sleeves. So it's always fun hearing that. So thank you again for sharing that. And thanks for sharing more about Avidity. I think it's really important that our AALAS members really understand who our exhibitors are and the portfolio of products, like you said. And I was just kind of thinking to myself, wow, I had totally forgot that all of that was under the umbrella of Avidity. So again, thank you for sharing that. Really, really helpful information.
Thank you.
So now we're going to jump into just the EAC in general, because, it wasn't until I really moved into more leadership at the national level at AALAS as a volunteer that I really even understood what our exhibitors did, aside from the great products that they produce and sell and all of that. I had no idea the breadth of support and that they provide AALAS, as well as the fact that they are AALAS members as well. This is the Exhibitors Association as well. And so and boy, I was so excited to learn about the EAC, and that then there was this committee as well. So anyway, it would be great for you to probably share that better than I just did, and sort of help our listeners understand just really what the exhibitors do in relationship to AALAS and what they do for the national meeting.
Sure. And I think the way you explained it was spot on. The Exhibitor Advisory Committee, or the EAC, is an AALAS committee containing a mix of AALAS management and various vendor representatives within the AALAS industry. The EAC is essentially a liaison council between the exhibiting companies and the AALAS organization. The Exhibitor Advisory Council provides on-site assistance to the AALAS staff in resolving issues with exhibitors during the national meeting. The council also reviews the exhibitor rules and regulations annually and makes recommendations regarding booth size and height, exhibit hall hours, contractual issues, and the guidelines governing exhibitor activities at the national meeting, which includes the exhibitor technical trade presentations and exhibitor teach-in chats. The EAC is here to advise and help vendors, which is important, and communicate with AALAS. And while at the AALAS national meeting, if there is an exhibitor that has concerns, they are encouraged to reach out to myself or another member of the committee.
Oh, that is amazing. Thank you. You explained that a lot better than me, for sure. And I really do appreciate, and I think our listeners as well, just knowing that, this behind the scenes stuff is going on at the national meeting. I think sometimes you go to a meeting or convention and you sort of don't realize what goes into putting that on. So thank you again for sharing that and how important the EAC is. It's a longstanding committee, and thank you again for your service on it and your leadership this year. Okay, so you mentioned a couple specific things that are maybe newer in the program for some of our attendees. Maybe they've attended, years ago. They're coming back, sort of in and out, and maybe they don't know much about. So we'd love to hear more about these things. The first would be technical trade presentations. Maybe you could explain what those are and explain, sort of who can go, how they work.
Oh, sure. Yep. The technical trade presentations, or as you'll hear me say, the TTPs, have been around for many years and are typically on Sunday afternoons when the national meeting begins. This year, the TTPs will be on Sunday, November 3rd, beginning at 1 p.m. And the TTPs are presentations that are 20 minutes in length, given by representatives of exhibiting companies, and are open to everyone, to all the attendees. The TTPs are focused on non-commercial educational topics ranging from beneficial tips and best practices to the latest in product information relevant to a variety of industry applications. Now, there are 2 tracks for the TTPs that can be followed. Track 1 is focused on the theme of advancing research through innovation, and Track 2 is facility enhancements to maximize performance. You can follow the tracks, or you can mix and match topics based on your individual interest. There are a variety of topics that will be covered, from its software and equipment technologies to data collection and management to safety standards and automation applications. With 20 exhibiting companies presenting on various topics, there's something to be learned for everyone. This year was a banner year for TTP submissions, as we received around 40 topics with only 20 spots available. So I'd like to make sure to say thank you to all the vendors who submitted TTP presentations, and we certainly encourage vendors to submit topics again for next year. For everyone listening, I highly recommend you take some time to come to the technical trade presentations on Sunday, November 3rd. They're going to be starting at 1 o'clock, and there's 2 tracks, like I said, so I think they're always educational and very informative.
Oh, thank you for that really good summary. So, so I think I've got this right. They're free. That's correct?
Absolutely. Yep, okay. Absolutely.
Great. They're free. We know when they are on Sunday. And so we always kind of want people to know that when you're booking your travel, you want to make sure that you come in plenty of time, whether you're going across the country or the meeting happens to be local for you or local-ish. Rather, we just want to make sure people get there in time to see these, because they're really good and it's really a great chance to hear what's latest and greatest. So thanks for that. All right. Well, we know that our AALAS listeners of the podcast and our membership love to connect with each other. And one of the great places to do that is at the national meeting and at the welcome reception, where everybody sort of comes together on that Sunday night. Could you talk a little bit about that and explain sort of what happens at the welcome reception, especially this year, as I heard it's going to be quite unique?
It certainly is. And I certainly agree with your assessment that the AALAS community loves to connect. It's an essential part of the industry, as I've come to experience. And the AALAS National Meeting is the penultimate opportunity in the year for everyone attending to do this. And yes, this year is truly unique, as it's the first time that the welcome reception will be held within the exhibit hall. The welcome reception is on Sunday night, starting at 6:30 after the opening ceremony. There will be drinks and snacks, and I believe live music as well. It's also a great chance to get a sneak peek of the exhibit hall. With this change to the welcome reception schedule, it has meant that we exhibitors need to set up our booths earlier to be ready by Sunday afternoon so that the exhibit hall is ready for the evening. Also, there is no requirement that the vendors need to be at their booths for the welcome reception. That's entirely up to the company. I'm really excited for this change this year. What's special to me, in my opinion, is that it's a great way to have a social event and provide exposure for an important part of the AALAS National Meeting, which is the exhibit hall vendors. If the welcome reception location change to the exhibit hall is well received this year, the AALAS and EAC committee will consider it again for future national meetings.
Oh, that is awesome. I am so excited about this change. I know it's something that has been talked about, and, just kind of the logistics of it have been difficult to pull off. But apparently this year, this great leadership team has been able to pull this off. I am so excited. I think it's going to be just really great to combine that, like you said, that great welcoming spirit and also be in the vendor hall at the same time. I just can't wait. It's going to be awesome. So thanks for explaining that.
I can't wait either. I'm just going to add also, I'm very excited. I mentioned I'm very excited, but it is really cool that it's all come together
Yes.
for the 75th anniversary. So I'm really interested to see how it goes. And I think it's a very exciting opportunity for everyone.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And thanks for also reminding me about the 75th, that too. It's awesome to think about how this all came together for this really, really special year. So it's going to be great. All right. Well, let's see. There's a couple other questions I wanted to ask you. And one of them is about an initiative that's fairly new, as I recall, to the program called Exhibitor Teach-In Chats. And because they're new, some folks listening and also attending might not really know what those are. Again, the big questions, how do you attend? Are they free? Do I have to sign up? If you could cover that, it would be fabulous.
Sure. And yes, the Exhibitor Teach-In Chats were introduced at last year's AALAS National Meeting in Salt Lake City, and they were well received and attended and brought back again this year. The Teach-In Chats are 20-minute presentations given by exhibiting companies in the exhibit hall during program breaks. They're open to everyone. The Teach-In Chats are similar to the online demo day vendor presentations in the spring. These chats are opportunities for exhibiting companies to share information on laboratory animal science products and services, solving problems, tips and tricks, and facility improvements, and much, much more. There are 10 total companies that are going to be participating in the Teach-In Chats. The chats are on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday have 2 chats in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, and Wednesday has the final 2 chats in the morning. And regarding the times, the morning chats start at 10:10 a.m. and 10:35 a.m. and the afternoon chats on Monday and Tuesday start at 2:10 p.m. and 2:35 p.m. The Teach-In Chats are open to everyone and are easy to get to. There's a designated location in the convention hall. It is directly across from the entrance on the opposite side of the hall. I believe it's booth 1639. Show up at the designated time, although I would suggest, based on last year's attendance, you may want to get there a few minutes ahead of time to get a seat, and there was standing room only for some of these last year, so I know that they were very popular, and this will be the second year, and I think it's going to be another great year for them. I'm really excited to see the Teach-In Chats too, and these are right in the exhibit hall. If somebody has a break and able to get there and see them, I highly recommend it.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm also really excited about these. I went to a couple last year, and I agree with you. I was, kind of standing in the back, just there weren't any seats, which was totally fine because they're short. And it was just a great way to hear about a product that I was, particularly really interested in at the time. So I'm so excited that these are coming back. And you don't have to sign up. You just, use the mobile app so you'll sort of know when things are and head to the area. That's great. All right. Well, it seems like we could talk about this for a long time, but unfortunately, we're at the end of our time here. But I do have a final question for you. We ask everyone a final question here. It's kind of our thing on this podcast. And we always try to have a question that will kind of leave people thinking. So my question for you, my friend, is what would you tell somebody who's new, coming to the national meeting for the first time or first time after a big break, and they're coming to the exhibit area for the first time? How would you sort of help them maybe maximize their time or just not be so overwhelmed?
I think if this is your first time at an AALAS National Meeting, I would say that along with the educational seminars, that spending time in the exhibit hall is equally as important. It's an opportunity for attendees to learn the latest about the beneficial technologies and products that are out there that are integral to the day-to-day work in their facilities. There are such a variety of vendors that have unique products and services available. Plan to set aside or dedicate some time each day to see the exhibit hall and the various events we've talked about. And everyone is very friendly and helpful and always willing to answer questions. You can even have lunch in the food court in the convention hall and take the time to see all the great booths and visit with vendors. if you don't have that time throughout the day. But I think if you have the time to be able to spend in the exhibit hall, it's definitely worth it. Take your time, visit with people, and I think it'll be time well spent.
Oh, that is so great. Thank you. I'm sure anyone listening for the first time is just going to be really excited about going in there and not being so overwhelmed. So thank you. And thank you again for being here. We really appreciate it. We appreciate your time to the EAC and just your giving of your time for this podcast to help us really understand more about the EAC and all the great things at the national meeting. And now it's time for a short break.
AALAS is now on all your favorite social platforms. If you want to be in the know around upcoming deadlines, highlights from this month's journals, or even just fun holidays, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram today.
We're excited to be joined by key AALAS volunteers today who have worked hard to make this meeting successful. With me is Dr. Robert Dysko. That's very formal. Bob is a longstanding member and volunteer leader at AALAS. He was selected to deliver the keynote address at this year's special 75th national meeting. In his day job, Bob is an AACLM diplomat and over his successful career has held key roles at the University of Michigan Unit for Laboratory Animal Medicine, including directorship. Bob is also an active volunteer leader serving AALAS, AACLM, ILAR, and now Basher. He is the past president of AALAS and an outstanding mentor, colleague, and friend. I mean, I could go on and on about Bob and how wonderful he is, but we need to get to the show, which is really talking about our upcoming 75th national meeting and his special keynote address. So hello, Bob. Thank you for joining us today. In this part of the show, we always want to have our guests tell us a little bit more about their background. Can you do that?
I sure can, Jenny. Can I call you Jenny?
Yes, please do.
Okay, great. So I was born and raised in the suburbs of New York City. And like every typical suburbanite, I then went and attended Iowa State University for both undergrad and veterinary school. After school, I went and did the laboratory animal residency at the University of Michigan. And then I took my first faculty position at Wake Forest. In 1990, I joined now as a faculty member, and I've been there ever since.
Wow, that is amazing. I love hearing that. I just, our listeners really love hearing kind of how people got to into the industry, how they got to the school they chose, how they went to their jobs. So thank you for filling us in on that. I love the suburbanite reference as well. All right. So our listeners probably want to know more about the national meeting and specifically the opening session. And so for folks that maybe have never attended or maybe they attend AALAS, but they don't go to the opening session, they're not sure it's for them. Could you kind of talk a little bit about why they should go and what the keynote address actually is?
Sure. So for the national meeting, while there's usually some associated events on the Saturday and Sunday beforehand, Sunday night officially kicks off the national meeting. There's been some format changes over the years, but the primary activities are an update to the membership regarding the association's recent activities, the presentation of national awards, and then the keynote address. So the keynote address has varied from scientific talks from researchers around the country and especially those that have used animals in their programs. But it's also had other sort of inspirational talks and general topic presentations.
Oh, that's fantastic. And just from hearing you talk about it, it's so exciting. And I would love to hear you kind of tell our listeners, like, why should they go?
Well, the listeners should go because it's a chance to be with the rest of their peers and to hear what's going on in the association. And then probably of equal importance is the fact that it's followed by the welcome reception.
Love it.
So you get to go with your friends and then mingle, network, meet new people, and have some beverages and refreshment.
Love it. Yes, agreed. I couldn't agree more. All right. So I don't want to steal your thunder in any way, shape, or form, but we would love to know give us a sneak peek maybe of what we're going to hear about your special keynote address titled 75 Years of AALAS.
Okay, so it's a history lesson. And, you should think back to your most boring high school history instructor. And my job is to try and make that person look absolutely electric. It's going to be long. It's going to be dry. It's going to be a history lesson, but it's one that I hope that the attendees will find both fun and interesting.
Oh, I love hearing that. I just had a really scary visual of my history instructor in high school, and she had a bun on the top of her head, and she was not very nice. So I'm hoping you're going to deliver something that's not quite like that.
I think I'll do better, and I won't have a bun.
Okay, good. Whew, yeah, that bun was tight, and she was not super nice. So I'll spare her name, but I just really appreciate having that visual there. All right. So I know that you have spent a ton of time, all jokes aside, I know that you are a student of this industry, and I know you've spent a lot of time preparing for this keynote and take it really seriously. And we are excited to hear maybe some of the funny things maybe that you've heard or interesting that you've heard or uncovered as you were going down this rabbit hole of 75 years of AALAS.
One of the things that always impresses me is how much all of the early leaders in our field, how much they accomplished over a rather short period of time. I mean, founding the Animal Care Panel in 1950, between that and the first edition of the guide, which was 63, they established the national meetings that we're attending, local branches of AALAS. They created ACLAM as a veterinary specialty. They founded ILAR within the National Academy of Science, and the first residency training programs had been established, and creating AALAC was just around the corner. And I just find it amazing how many of these activities were done essentially by the same group of individuals that founded the Animal Care Panel, which is now AALAS. And they also did that without any full-time AALAS business manager until 1961. I mean, you and I, as past presidents, know how important the central office staff is, and the executive director role, and all of that was still being established while they were creating all of these other things. So it just amazes me how much actually got done in what is a relatively short period of time.
Wow. I love that summary. That is really amazing when you look back. I remember getting that 50-year book at AALAS's 50-year anniversary. That was right. I was just kind of coming into the organization then, and I remember looking back then and thinking, "Wow, that is a lot of work." And now at 75 years, wow.
Well, Jenny, the 50-year book is sitting right next to me. It is the main reference I'm using as I'm doing the early years of the meeting. And I agree with you. It's a very interesting read. And those listeners who haven't seen it, if you can get a copy of it, it is very interesting to learn about all of this, the formation of all of these activities.
Yeah, I agree. So I love hearing all that seriousness for sure. And definitely agree on just how much work got done. What about anything funny besides maybe the pictures? Anything that struck you as just kind of sort of funny in that history lesson?
No, not yet. I haven't come across anything that I find to be really terribly amusing. That's going to sound negative for the advertising for the keynote, but I'm hopefully going to interject some things in there. I'll come up with some alternative facts that
I'm sure
we can utilize based on what currently exists.
Yes.
But no, I never noticed really anything that struck me as extremely humorous. Although I did several years ago, I did a presentation on the history of cage sizes, and I found out that the cage sizes for some of the species stayed the same in 1963 in the first edition of the guide and the subsequent ones. And that there hadn't been a lot of movement. And I thought that was kind of funny that, they picked some numbers back then, and then we've stuck with them. So
that is interesting and kind of humorous as well. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more on this in your keynote. I know most of us just can't wait to hear it. It's going to be fantastic. So you already kind of delved into sort of this next question, but I'd love to hear sort of in your expert opinion, as yourself and in the industry, and then also as past president, as you said, what do you think were sort of the most historical decisions that may have shaped AALAS over the past 75 years?
Yeah, so in thinking about this, I came up with two that I think were really very important in making AALAS what it is today. And the first was making AALAS an umbrella association that captured all of the individuals and all of the professions that are associated with laboratory animal science. There aren't a lot of associations like ours that span from the technicians to the veterinarians to the Animal Care and Use Committee to the vendors. That's somewhat unique, and I think that's part of what has made AALAS such an awesome association and productive association over the course of the years.
I love that one.
The second one, I think, to me, was developing the certification levels for technicians. It has, to me, essentially turned laboratory animal care from a job into a career. So now people had milestones that they could look to achieve. They then added CMAR later on. I think all of that was extremely important in enabling AALAS to be what it is now.
Oh, I love that one too. I'm so glad I asked you that question. You really hit on two, and I'm sure there's a handful of other really key ones, but you nailed it on that one for sure. How exciting and how interesting to think about the organization without those key decisions. Interesting. So just sort of as a follow-up to that then, we're reflecting on 75 years, which is really great. What are you thinking now are some critical areas that AALAS / our industry need to really focus on now?
Well, I think continued focus on addressing and managing the environmental variables. That's sort of picked up a lot in the past several years. So I think continued looks at that. And then in association with that, finding ways to improve the accuracy of animal models and also addressing why some models work and others don't. I think we don't do enough to note why this species is a really good model and this species is not a good model, especially when we're talking to the public. Part of that is because they're usually long answers and they don't make for sound bites, but I think that would be something else to continue to work on in the years ahead. And I think a very lucrative retirement pension for past presidents would be something worth investigating.
Especially the 2011 and 2018 presidents, for sure.
Yes, especially those two. Those 2 years.
Maybe just those 2 years, yeah. Yes, extremely lucrative. I love it. No, all joking aside, I love what you just said, especially as I also have this kind of focus on the journals, and it makes me really think through sort of our where we're going with the journals, and being able to maybe add some of what you just sort of described in there, I think is really important. So I'm also glad I asked you that question, because it would be really we'd be remiss without asking at your level of expertise and all of your experience with AALAS, sort of what you see as critical moving forward. So thanks for answering that. So speaking of past president and speaking of your lucrative retirement for you and I wanted to ask you specifically. So you were president 2011 and 10 to 11, I believe. And I thought it would be really interesting to ask, what were some of the key things in that time that you were on the EC? And for those listening that maybe don't understand the executive committee sort of 4-year commitment, feel free to kind of you could expand upon that as well. But what were some of the key topics that your leadership group and the BOT were involved with back then? It'd be kind of fun to hear. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just take the step back. So typically, you go from vice president-elect to vice president to past president. So it's a 4-year term, and you're in each of those roles for the 4 years. And during that time, you're also on the executive committee for the association. So that's how things stair-step through. And two things that I can quickly discuss. First was the establishment of the global partnership. So it was a way for international associations that are similar to AALAS to link with us officially. And in some ways it was to help them get educational materials more easily, but it also, I think, helped to increase our global networking and get more people from around the world in attendance at our national meeting. The second big thing was the change in the governance structure. So that was switching from 2 board members from each of the districts to 1 board member per district, and then the creation of the 4 at-large board members. And Jenny, this is just a great opportunity for a very shameless plug. And then I'm part of a panel discussion with several other past presidents, and we're going to discuss major changes in AALAS that occurred during our tenures. My topic is going to be the change in the governance structure. And the panel discussion is entitled Looking Back, Looking Forward. It's on Monday, November 4th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. And it's moderated by the illustrious Dr. Ann Turner.
Oh, thank you for plugging that, Bob. I'm so glad you reminded me to put that in there. That is going to be a great session, and thanks for including all those details. I know folks are going to definitely want to hear that, and they're going to want to hear more because, we're just hearing one era of the executive committee and some of the things that they had to wrestle with, and the other presidents on that panel will certainly be providing other experiences. So that's going to be a good one you don't want to miss. Let's see. So, Bob, you have also served AALAS. I know we really focused on the presidency part, but you've served AALAS in a lot of other ways, and we would love to kind of hear more about those opportunities that you've had and sort of some of the things that you learned in that. We love our listeners. We love to kind of get more folks involved in AALAS, and just sort of hearing somebody's experience is always a really good way to do that.
Sure. So, before I served as the Vice President-elect, I served for 4 years on the National Meeting Program Committee. And so that was a great opportunity to work with colleagues, help to establish the program for the 4 meetings. Typically, you serve as vice chair for a section, say as seminars, and then the next year you serve as chair. And so that was a great opportunity to contribute back to the association. Then since then, I've served on the nominations committee, and for a long time, I've been a member of the editorial review board for JLAS and comparative medicine.
Oh, that's great. And thanks for describing all of those as well. Again, we just want folks to really think about volunteering and think about there's just so many different ways to serve. We're really trying to create more micro-volunteering. So here's my shameless plug here. We're just trying to promote a lot of other opportunities for folks to share, especially technicians, and who may not be able to make such a large commitment on the national level, but could certainly do some micro-volunteering at the national level that wouldn't involve a lot of travel and or a lot of time. And so we're really excited about that and sort of putting it all together. So thanks for describing some of the other ways that you've served. Like I said, Bob is a fixture at AALAS. He's served a long time. And just all jokes aside, we're extremely thankful. I want to say, too, that my very first servantship at national level, the chair was Bob Dysko. So you were very kind, very helpful, and I continued to serve after that for the same reasons. I just loved giving back and loved learning more, especially the program committee, learning more about the program, which is kind of what we're talking about today and how that all comes together. All right, so we're unfortunately out of time. I feel like Bob and I could just sit and talk AALAS forever. I do have a final question. We ask a final question of everyone, all of our guests, and yeah, sometimes I throw curveballs, sometimes I don't. I know Bob could definitely handle a curveball, but this one today is a little soft. The question is just sort of for anyone listening who hasn't yet registered for the national meeting. We've talked about it. We've had some great guests. You've heard from Bob what his keynote is going to be. Why should someone attend if they haven't quite made the commitment?
Well, Jenny, clearly it's a chance to hear my keynote address live.
I mean, for sure. Yeah.
Hear it on a recording. So that's number one. But also, and probably more importantly, It's a chance to learn about new information that's come out in the various segments of our fairly unique specialty field. It's a chance to see the new products on the exhibit floor. For some folks, it's a chance to obtain a whole lot of tchotchkes by trick-or-treating on the exhibit floor. I don't endorse that, but I know several members really, really find that to be the hallmark of the meeting. But seriously, it's a chance to network with your colleagues from across the nation and across the world. And so in many times, it's the hallway conversations, it's bumping into people at dinner, et cetera, that really helps to put the national meeting in perspective. I can remember running into people at the airport when I was leaving a meeting and having discussions in the airport. So it's just a real unique chance to get out there and see what's going on and talk with the people that deal with the same stuff that you deal with, just in a different geographical location.
Well said, friend. That was awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, we are out of time. This was really, truly a fun recording session with Bob. I'm excited. We're going to have you back on the podcast for sure to do some other stuff. So I'm glad that you're retired. You'll have lots of time. All right. Well, we really appreciate Bob being here today, taking the time to talk with us. I know I learned a lot. I know you guys listening learned a lot about Bob, also the process, volunteering, and of course, the national meeting. So if you haven't yet registered for the national meeting, remember that advance registration does close on October 7th. After that time, you can still attend the meeting, but you won't be able to pre-register, meaning you'll have to register on site. So skip the lines, save some cash, and register today. You do not want to miss this 75th national meeting. And finally, thanks again for listening to The Last Word, an AALAS podcast. Be on the lookout for our future episodes dropping soon.